we're going to present in here for you guys as an introduction now, the Conscientiology. First of all, before we start our presentation now and starting as well, so I would like to reinforce for you guys, the ones that already heard about this principle and the ones that are new, every activity in conscientiological activities, we usually stress this principle. It's the principle of disbelief. So do not believe in anything, not even what you hear here. Experiment, have your own experience. We really value this principle of disbelief, especially with the themes that we're studying. So it's very important that you keep your critical thinking. It's one thing, it's when we keep our critical thinking, it's not necessarily dismissing an idea because we dislike this idea. This would be more confirmation bias. So the most important thing when we are approaching something with critical thinking, it is to approach the information with a mix of curiosity and doubt. So you don't know, you just look and see if it has a logic. Use your discernment and please avoid overgeneralizations. So it's not because we are presenting an idea or an example that example turned to be a reality for everything. As we are dealing with such an interesting theme and a very new theme under an umbrella of science, that's what we propose. It's very important that we take into account and we gauge while we are listening, gauging credibility, source of what we are saying, logic and validity of the evidence we are presenting. And that's what the principal think. Do not believe anything. Paper, accept everything. We can say anything. Our degrees or our titles, people have titles and degrees, they can say anything, but not necessarily it is an information that reflects a reality or a partial reality of something. So please keep your critical thinking that whole time.
Okay, so the course outline is here. So we divided the topics into 5 moments, let's say. So I think I would like to ask who is here for the first time, who never heard about Conscientiology before. Maybe you can write in the chat so we know about the group. And we are going to start by presenting the science, Conscientiology, very briefly, the new science of consciousness. And then we are going to talk about the neologisms. We use a lot of neologisms in Conscientiology, new words. And we are going to talk a bit about it. And then we are going to bring the main pillars of this new paradigm, the consensual paradigm. In other words, we see the realities, we see the world from another perspective, under another paradigm. And then we are going to talk about our existential program. And here is the first neologism, Proexis, we say, for existential program, and maybe a new concept for people coming for the first time, which is the intermissive course. We are going to explain some concepts about it, and then at the end, we are going to talk about inter-existentiality. But most important is your participation. So we want you to bring your ideas, your comments, experiences, and doubts. So if you don't understand something we say here, please write in the chat, and then we will open the microphone. Probably at the end, we will have more interaction, but please feel free to interrupt us anytime you want, you need, okay? We need this interaction. We value very much this opportunity here. So, Anna?
Yes. Yes. So, yes, what Ligia said is very important, your participation. So just feel free to participate. You can use the chat, or if you want, you raise your hand, and then we can, you open your camera and the microphone, and then we can talk. The most important thing, we're going to present, as Ligia said, we're going to present some concepts of conscientiology, but it's very important that any questions you have or any comments you have that you bring to us, because your questions, your doubts make our lecture going from different themes, because consensual projectiology bring us a vast amount of information. But here we're going to go and present you the main informations for you to understand the basis of this subject. First of all, what is conscientiology? So conscientiology is the science that studies the consciousness, the ego, the soul, the spirit, individual essence, self, intelligent principle in an integral manner. So consciousness, it is us, it's you, it's me, it's everyone that we know in our day-to-day life, and the ones that already gone. So conscientiology will study this consciousness, us, our ego, our soul, in three manners, in three states. So the first one, and the intra-physical, which means the consciousness that has the physical body and interact in this dimension. It's the consciousness that use the body to interact in our day-to-day life. It's us, now the live beings. Then we have another state that we're going to study, which is projected. It's the consciousness that it is temporarily out of our body. So it's when we're going to sleep and we have a temporarily exit from our body, or consciousness that has, for instance, a near-death experience that temporarily they go out from the body and they suffer the experiences during an accident or a surgical interview. And the other state is the astrophysical consciousness. It's the consciousness that no longer has the physical body. This is the consciousness that we usually say it's our, it's the ghosts. The consciousness that doesn't have this physical body, they are manifesting themselves in a more subtle body. They are invisible at a certain point for the people in our day-to-day life. But that doesn't mean that because they are invisible, they do not exist. And when we talk about conscientiology, and we need to bring together the other science, new science, which is projectiology. Why? If I only study consciousness in a sense of how we behave, our emotions, our cognition, how we react to things, and so on, we are still superficially studying this consciousness. But when we bring projectiology, and what is projectiology? Projectiology is the science that studies phenomena of out-of-body experience and bioenergy. So when I look at the consciousness and I have a phenomena of out-of-body experience, or I perceive the energies that come out from myself, or the energy that interact with other people, or I can perceive how my energy impacts other people, that's when I start to see my multidimensional nature. That's why we put together conscientiology and projectiology, because conscientiology, we study consciousness. Projectiology will help us to study this consciousness in a more broader way. So a consciousness that manifests in other dimensions, either way with a more subtle body or with the bioenergies. So I put here a photo. Have you ever had out-of-body experience? If you had, how did you feel when you had the first experience? Do you think that you can have this phenomenon? So you see here, it's very interesting in the photo. The photo, Lydia. In the photo that you see, usually we sleep, we relax, and then we have this exit. We go out from our body. We can go in a dimension where we are. We can see the sunset intraphysical in our day-to-day, now in the dimension where we are, or we can see the sunset extraphysically, so in another dimension. It is an experience that we all have every night, but some people, they can have awareness and others not. So I will leave here some questions now. about, have you ever had a sensation to be out of your body? What sensation was most impactful? Have you ever had an out-of-body experience? And I will ask one more thing in terms of the experience. Do you think you can have? And why would you want to have an out-of-body experience? And we have, actually today, the IIPC will present information about an experiment that will be carried during this week. I think Jacqueline spoke about this. That's the flying, which is the practice of out-of-body experience. Flying actually has been done by, I think it's an organization, American Parapsychical Organization, the study of Parapsychism. I do not remember the name exactly of this organization, but they had the project Flying, where they requested many projectors around the world, and they invite them to have the out-of-body experience and identify an object in a room that they had set up for that objective. And it was very interesting because some people would arrive and see the object, but other people had other experience, and they talked about this, and it was very interesting. Here, we're going to have later, if you are there, we're going to have later the participation of IIPC doing the flying, which is an interesting experience. So I'll leave with Lydia.
Okay, so let's talk about the neologisms, the new words we use in Conscientiology, and why we use neologisms. For sure, is not to make our life more difficult. So I listed here two aspects which justify the way we use neologisms. The first one is to help us, the researchers, to communicate in a more precise way about the updated concepts. So, for example, we know about some of these concepts from another perspective, but not now from the perspective of the consensual paradigm. So this helps us to communicate, to tell each other about our experiences, and of course, to stimulate new synapses, to reinforce this new concept, this updated concept, while we are here. And the second point is to name new concepts and ideas as we go deeper, studying some aspects of conscientiology and projectiology. This is naturally happening. We see new concepts, we have insights, we have new ideas, and we need to name them, things we did not know before. And normally, a neologism is a combination of words. So here I bring some examples. And the point is, some of these neologisms have been created in Portuguese language. So that's why sometimes they are not the same sequence as we see in English. And we keep some of these neologisms in English. The first one is conscience. Conscience is to refer to an intraphysical consciousness, like Ana Paula mentioned before, when we are in this dimension, intraphysical dimension. So we refer to conscience as an intraphysical consciousness. On the other hand, when we talk about an extraphysical consciousness, we say conscience. So this is the combination of these two words, extraphysical consciousness. The other one I mentioned already is Proexis. So it's the existential program. And there is another one, we will use it a lot from now on in this course, and you will see very often in many publications and courses, which is the Tocin. This is a combination of three words: thought, sentiment, and energy. So neologisms at the beginning, they sound a bit strange, maybe, but as we go deeper and we start them, we start to understand them. They make sense. They are very logical. Any question about this so far? Please feel free to raise your hand and contribute here, okay? So we will go ahead, but you can stop us at any time. We go now to the following point, which is the consensual paradigm. And here we have 7 pillars. We will talk about each of them, but the idea here is a crescendo of aspects of this paradigm. So we are going to talk about holosomatics. Holo is a prefix for everything. Somatic is about soma, is about body. And we are going to talk about multi-dimensions, several dimensions, bioenergetics, multi-existence, Cosmo Ethics, which may sound a very new word for some of you, but we will talk more about it. Universalism, Jacqueline mentioned at the beginning that universalism is something very present in our work for volunteers of ISIC, and self-research. So from now on, we are going to deal with each of these pillars for the Consciential Paradigm.
So let's start with the first one, the Consciential Paradigm. Paradigm is a way of looking at reality. No, it's a cut in a reality and how we interpret and understand that reality. So in order for us to understand Conscientiology and study Projectiology, we are not going to use the mechanical paradigm. We're going to be using the Consciential Paradigm that present those pillars. The first one is holosomatics. So when we are talking about consciousness, how we understand consciousness, this consciousness use few bodies to manifest in different dimensions. In those bodies, they have characteristics that allows the consciousness to manifest in those dimensions. That's why we talk about holosomatics and multidimensionality. So the first body we're gonna study, it's the one that is very, very familiar to all of us. It's our physical body. Since the day we're born to the day we die, we spend most of the time linked with this body. It's our physical body. So it's the body that age, it's the body that needs the sex, it's the body that will suffer pain, it's the body that we need to feed, we need to comb, we need to shower, and so on. No? And all the time, it's the body that's present for us and presents the 5 senses that we are very familiar, our vision, our sense, our taste, and so on. So the second body, it's a body that interconnects the physical body to the more subtle body, which is the energetical body. This energetical body, it's referred as a hollow chakra. What does it mean, hollow? Hollow, the set, chakras, the center of energy. So that's the hollow chakra. So also known as a vital body. It's very well known by Chinese medicine when they work with acupuncture or they work with digital pressure. They are working with those energetic points in our body. So in reality, this body will glue our physical body to our more subtle body, the psychosome, emotional body, and mental body. So when we are all here together, okay, now that's all we are here, sitting and pay attention in this exposition. Those bodies, they exist like, do you know those Russian balls? Oh, dolls, not Russian balls, Russian dolls. You know, that one interconnect existing with inside of another. It's more or less like this. The difference is that each of those dolls, they have different frequency. And so they allow us to manifest in these different dimensions. The more subtle one is the psychosome, emotional body. That's the body where we're gonna have an out-of-body experience. That's the body that when, depend on our dissoma, no? When we deactivate the body, is the body that we're gonna stay between lives. And Ligia will be talking about a little bit later about this. And this is why we call this emotional body, because when we manifest with this body, we have a tendency to perceive our emotions a little bit more clearly. This is the body that it doesn't age, it doesn't pain, it's not feel pain. It's a body that usually the ghosts, they manifest with this body. And but it's the body that we're gonna stay with this body for a long period of time throughout our evolution. Then we have a more subtle body, which is the mental body. this is the body where we have our hollow memory or the set of our memories. And this is the body that when we have an out-of-body experience with this body, it's knowing as well as enlightenment or expansion of consciousness. So we can have an out-of-body experience with the psychosome, with the mental soma, and we can have a projection of our energies when we exteriorize our energies towards other people or towards the environment. Okay, is that clear? Any question about the relation between these bodies? And here, is that all right? I can't see the chat. Anybody, any questions and doubts or comments? So if we talk about the body, now each of these body, one of the areas that are most important for us to study and understand about the body, it's the brain, the physical body. Without a functional brain, without a functional body, we can't manifest integrally in this dimension. So despite that, in spite of this is the most or the less evolved body, is the body that gives us the opportunity to manifest in this dimension for as long as we can live in this dimension, okay? So, and the most evolved body would be the mental body. Throughout the studies of conscientiology, we talk about the death and we talk about the evolutionary process that we all gonna go through, where we're gonna lose some of these bodies. Alternatively, now we gain a new body, we lose, we gain, until we're gonna have two bodies, until we lose one and we stay with the more evolved body, okay? So the other point here is we're gonna talk about, it's the multidimensionality. As I said there, acting in different and more dense or more subtle dimensions directly through projection or with our energies. So in spite the multi-dimension, it's not, and here I'm going to do a differentiate, it's not parallel reality like we see in physics study, or now some area now the physics, they talk about these parallel realities, and there are movies about this. It's not this. Multidimensionality are dimensions with different vibrations where can coexist in this dimension. So we might sit here and we might perceive an extra-physical consciousness. Remember, extra-physical consciousness, a consciousness that does not have the physical body, manifest in the environment. But another person who is clairvoyance, who has the ability to see this dimension, can see another consciousness, which is more in a more subtle dimension in the same environment, but they are more subtle. That none of other people can see because they are in a more denser dimension. So when we are talking about multidimensionality, it's very important for us to understand when we go out from our body, we have an out-of-body experience, we manifest in an extra-physical dimension with our physical or with our psychosome, which is more subtle body, which allows us to manifest in this dimension. When we think about someone, we sit here, we talk about someone, we think about someone, we evoke someone, whether they are intra or extra-physically, we connect with that consciousness through this multidimensionality. Remember when Jacqueline said at the beginning, be tuned, pay attention what we are doing, do not do other stuff while we are paying attention in this one. Because in spite we are distant from each other, we are very close to each other because our energetic connection. So just for us to make a kind of analogy, you know, these bodies, they are more or less like this. If you need to go to Chapada Diamantina here in Brazil, no? Or you need to go to a city where you can only arrive by car, you have to get a car, four-wheel drive, for instance. You get the car and you reach there. But if you need to go to Fernando Noronha here in Brazil, which is an island, you only can reach that area by boat. So you get a boat. And if you need to go to China, and you need to go by air, so you need to get an aeroplane. So it's more or less analogically with the holosoma. Each of these bodies, they will take us to destinations accordingly to the characteristics of each of those bodies, okay? And that adapt to those destinations. Right? All good? Can we move on? All right, so let's see the other consensual paradigm, which is bioenergetics. So we talked about that body, energetic body, and what is important we take into account. We live in an energetic dimension. We use the energy to manifest ourselves. So do you know that 87% or 88% of our communication is non-verbal? Many researchers talk about that's like our movements or our facial expression, but we can add a little bit more our energy. So before we speak, our energy spoke already for us. For someone that has sensitivity, they will pick up this energy. And most of people, they pick up this energy. That's why we talk about this dimension. It's an energetic dimension. Our manifestation here, it's energetical. So every day, our day-to-day life here, the more we have understanding of this energy and how we manifest our energy and how we respond to this energy, the more we can have a more, how can I say, a more balanced manifestation. So we can arrive in a place, understand the energy of that place, or have contact with someone, connect the energy with that person, but be able to maintain a certain distance from that energy and not be overwhelmed or swallowed by the energy of the other person or the environment. That's why we say here we use the energy to manifest ourselves. In general, we have two basic types of energy. One is immanent energy. So immanent energy, it's an energy that it does not carry any information and cannot be created or transformed. It's an energy that is dispersed in the universe. It's an energy that does not information. What does it mean? It's the energy that doesn't carry any judgmental stuff or emotions or ideas or sentiments in that energy. It's just pure water. You know, one thing is when you drink pure water, other thing when you drink Coca-Cola. So pure water, we say it's more like immanent energy. And here, what are the types of immanent energy we have? First, hydroenergy, the energy of water. So if you go to a sea, if you go to waterfalls, we have hydroenergy. We have a photo there with hydroenergy. So we have hydroenergy. It's, you see, we have a waterfall. So you can have this hydroenergy in waterfall or the sea or in a lake. And here you see another type of energy with the phytoenergy. Now it's the energy of the plants. If you go a bushwalk, if you go for forest, that's where you get this phytoenergy. Then the other type of energy, it's the Aero Energy. So the air is energy. So that's why it's important for us to breathe and learn how to breathe, to have this pure energy. In some places, very polluted, not some cities, but we're trying to find places that are clean air for us to re-energize ourselves with this Aero Energy. Then we have Geo Energy, which relates to the energy of Earth. Now, if you walk on the ground, nowadays there are some researchers doing research on this. Now people walk on the grass and how these affect their body and the overall emotional condition. So it's when we re-energize ourselves in those environments with more telluric energy, with the energy of this environment. So when we absorb this energy, whether it is in contact with nature, through the breathing, to the food, if we are walking in a place now where we are absorbing this energy, and we absorb this energy passes through us, and we put a print, an information, we code that energy. So we actually start to generate a second type of energy, which is the consciential energy. What's the consciential energy? It's the immanent energy plus the toxins. Remember, Ligia spoke before, the neologism thoughts. Thought comes from thoughts, our intentions. Sen, sentiments, emotions and sentiments, and N, energy and actions. So every time we absorb this energy, we put this information, which is the average of intentions we have, the average of emotions, and the actions we have. So this will qualify our energy. So the consciential energy is no longer immanent energy. And it's like our energetic fingerprint. Each of us, we have a fingerprint, no? And it's unique. It's the same with our consciential energy. Our consciential energy, it's unique because it's based on our conscientiality, or what is reflected in our intentions, our sentiments, and the actions, average actions we have in our day-to-day life. So in the thinking about those toxins, let's think how these affect our day-to-day life. So we, as a consciousness, we are interconnected. These interconnections are invisible. Maybe we do not perceive, but energetically, we are all the time interconnected. So our toxins, all the time, we produce those toxins. Sometimes, depending on what we are doing, they are more related more to the ideas, although they are indissociable elements. So they manifest all of three together, but they might have a degree stronger in thoughts or in sentiments or in our energies or our acts. So all the times we are producing those toxins. When we are producing this, we are impacting people around us, but we are impacting people far away from us. And that's why we show here that interconnection on the top of the people. So people are influencing each other, but with our toxins, we can influence consciousness that are far away from where we are, and also not in this dimension, but other dimensions. So it's very important for us, and we are influenced by those toxins. Let's give an example about this. Let's see that we manifest we go to a city where people value so much the healthy, the outdoor lives, the contact with nature, the physical body, exercise, and so on. Here in Brazil, we have Rio de Janeiro. In Australia, we have Sydney, or many other cities there. In America, we have Los Angeles, maybe overseas in Europe, might have in Spain, Tenerife, or anyway. So places where people put a lot of priority into that. If we arrive there, we start to observe that we start to get a little bit more, wish to do more these kind of things. And this, even though we do not do, in average, we do not worry about this, we might be influenced by these toxins in this environment, okay? So it's very important for us to understand these influences, because this will help us to differentiate who we really are and the things that we suffer impact from. So for us to understand this, now, just to think about what is the quality of the toxins you produce every day? What's the average of toxins? You're more emotional, dramatical, balanced emotions, more calm, or you have more toxin in more sentiment, or the intentions of discernment, more the attributes that are more subtle. Do you know how your consciential energies impact the environment and the cosmos? So do you know how you impact your energy, impact in the other people? When you arrive angry, or you are thinking bad about someone, or gossiping about someone, how this impacts the other person or yourself? Are you aware about how other energy impact you? So those are some things for us to think about in terms of our energy. But afterwards, we're going to be talking about this. To you, Lydia.
Okay, so I think so far things are clear. Or do you have any comments about these three first pillars? So we talked about multiple bodies, multiple dimensions, energetic interactions. And I think these are very important aspects we talked before. Especially this one, are you aware about how other energies impact you? And I think this, in a way, can explain many situations we have in our daily lives. For example, sometimes we are feeling okay, feeling well, and we receive a call or we get a message in our WhatsApp. And suddenly you realize you change your mood, you change your atmosphere, you become sad, you become anxious, and so on. So this explains the way we interact with each other. And this is the whole time. Okay, so anyone want to make a point or a comment at this stage here? Or can we go ahead to the next pillar? Okay, so we go ahead. And now we are going to talk about another pillar, which is multi-existentiality. So if we think about these three first ones, it's obvious to deduce that we had multiple lives. Yes? Does it make sense to you? So we are here actually in a cycle of several lives. So we have an intraphysical life as a consci, if you remember. The intraphysical consciousness is a human life, but we also have some periods we have been in an extraphysical dimension. We call this intermission, or a period between two intraphysical missions. Okay, and here is only one set, but we have been doing this for a longer time. So we say that we are here in this planet, on this planet, for a long time, along this timeline of several intraphysical lives as human beings and several extraphysical periods. So it's easy to deduce, to infer that we play different roles. We have been men, women, we have been born in China or in England or in another place. In other words, we have played different roles in different contexts. Okay? So this is about multi-existentiality. So we have actually played situations related to power, related to religion, and many other scenes. The way Anna Paula explained, we have been connected and we had affinities to different contexts along the history of this planet. And of course, we could have been involved with navigations, slavery, and many other contexts. We have no idea in this intraphysical life. So just to close up this concept of multi-existentiality, we actually have had different bodies in different intraphysical lives. And we have different affinities and different abilities developed along this process. So it's interesting to think about our natural tendencies, our natural interests, because many times we are born in a context, in a family, in a country, in a culture that is not really our strong tendency. So we miss something from the past and we express some traits we developed in past lives. Yeah. So we used to say that, today we are the result from different lives we had before. And this brings us to the next pillar of the consensual paradigm, which is Cosmo Ethics. We are very used to hear about the word ethics in intraphysical context. So we know about ethics as the moral or the personal and social principles, the codes we have in our intraphysical life, correct? But now under the perspective of the consensual paradigm, these ethics get much bigger, much broader. So we talk about Cosmo Ethics, which is the ethics related to the cosmos. So these social principles become very small if we consider the cosmos itself. So we are talking about here a cosmic moral on behalf of all consciousness and consensual principles. I included here consensual principles because we are interacting not just with human beings, we are interacting with plants, with pre-humans, the animals, and the whole elements, all elements from the cosmos. So this cosmoethics is considering the whole complexity of the cosmos. And one important question to ask ourselves is exactly about our personal values. So what are your personal values? Are they linked to these personal and social principles from the interphysical dimension? Or are you already able to think about the cosmos itself? So it's an amplification of our personal values. Okay? So I think it's important to talk about these things because we say that for every one of us, there are some concepts in conscientiology that attracts us, and cosmoethics is one of them. Many people coming to get to know conscientiology, they are really very impacted by this concept. Then, well, if you have any comment or question, please feel free. But let's go to the next pillar, which is about universalism. So if we combine the previous pillars all together, multi-bodies, multi-lives, multi-dimensions, cosmoethics, we will see that we are actually to develop this universalism. In other words, is this concept about all consciousness have the same value. We are here to evolve. And we all started our process, and we will end up our evolutionary process in a very similar way. Of course, with our similarities. But the point about evolution is these interactions. And here about universalism is to think without borders. No matter if it's about the language, the culture, the ethics, and so on. So one question I want to bring here is about these relationships we have. How are your multi-existential relationships with other consciousnesses? So this, in a way, is a good reflection to think about the level of universalism we apply in our daily life. And I want to take this opportunity to invite those interested to go deeper into this topic to attend this course next Saturday, not tomorrow, in 1 week. We will have this course, Universalism Practice. Jacqueline mentioned about it. So this is a huge aspect of the consensual paradigm. And I think it's very important for us to go deeper and to understand how it is to be evolving together with all the consciousness and consensual principles on this planet. Okay? So let's go to the last pillar we mentioned at the beginning, which is self-research. This is also something quite different from the science in a traditional way. So traditional science investigates something, an object, and the researcher is outside of this process. Here in Conscientiology, we said it's a science, but here we start the consciousness ourselves, and the researcher is also ourselves. So this is why it's self-research. And we try to apply all the available tools, such as parapsychism, to understand, to see this reality in terms of our interconsensual micro-universe and also the cosmos. So here in Conscientiology, we used to say that we are doing self-experimentation. So we place ourselves as the object of this research. And this is a very interesting approach, especially for those used to develop science in other science, or the research science, okay? And the good thing about Conscientiology is that we have many research tools. We have techniques. Conscientiology is extremely rich in terms of techniques available, and we can choose the ones which are more suitable for us. So as we go along with this process of self-experimentation, we have the chance to use different tools as we go deeper. And the next question related to this pillar would be, how much do you know about yourself? And here we are not talking about who you are in terms of your appearance, or if you were born in one country or another, or if you are tall or a man or a woman. We are talking about interconsentiality. So how much do you know about your interconsentiality? This is the point about self-research, is to understand ourselves in a clear, technical way, using technical tools. And for that, we have many resources. I said about the techniques, but those who are here or near the Cognopolis Force, we have many technical resources. For example, here's a picture of our campus at CIEC. And we have, you see here this round structure. These are 17 laboratories. So each of these laboratories has one specific theme or focus. So according to your needs, to your priorities, you can establish some experiments. So here is a place optimized for self-experimentation. We also have a place for debates called Tertuliarium, and this is also a place for self-research. It's very interesting to see how things develop and how the debates go on here in this place. We have every day presentations of debates, and they are actually available online. So far we have only Portuguese, but we will start soon having more international events from the Tertuliarium. We have some already, but we should expand this.
We're gonna I'm sorry, Ligia. I'm sorry, we're going to have a verbete that's going to be present on Saturday.
Yes,
your verbete, by the way, no? Yes. That will be translated into Spanish and Portuguese.
Yeah, let me take this chance to invite you to attend tomorrow. It will be a verbete, I will present it, and it will have simultaneous translation. For the first time we have this into English and Spanish. Okay, but we will talk about this maybe later. Then we have the Holocycle. Holocycle is a huge library specialized in dictionaries. So you can find any kind of dictionary here. It's really a very nice mental somatic. We talked about the mental soma. These are mental somatic activities helping us for this self-research. And also together with Holocycle, we have the Holoteca, which is several collections of artifacts, of knowledge. So you can investigate different times, different approaches, different contexts about history and many concepts. But for those who are not here in person, there are some treatises and books available written by Waldo Vieira, who is a proposer of the Conscientiology and Projectiology, but also from other authors. And there are some books, many of these books are available for free download. So if you are interested to go deeper into some of these concepts, I really recommend you to download these books. You can go to the website of ISIC, isicon.org. In resources, you have books, videos, and many other material available free. You can download them, okay? And we mentioned before, we have the Encyclopedia of Conscientiology. So far, the verbets have been written in Portuguese, but during the week, you will have the chance to attend a practical look at the encyclopedia. So for those interested to know how to write a verbet, how things work in the encyclopedia, I really recommend you to attend this course on Monday. Okay, so the encyclopedia today has more than 5,600 entries of verbets with more than 860 writers or verbetographers. So these are all sources of research we have available. And of course, the consciential-centric institutions. Nowadays, we have 25. Here I bring only 3 examples. So each one has one focus. For example, the IIBC, the institution promoting this flying project, is focused on projectiology and conscientiology. So it's an open door for many people arriving. The other one is the Consecutivos, focused on these holobiographical aspects or seriaxological research, the multiple lives I mentioned before. And OIC is focusing on consensual therapy, which is a process to understand our difficulties in terms of therapeutic approach. So these are all possibilities and source of self-research for us. So I really recommend you to visit the websites because we have many online activities and courses available in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Okay, so self-research is a very important pillar of this consciential paradigm. Okay, any question about this or can we go ahead? Okay, you are very silent, but when we finish here, which will be soon, we will have more chance to interact, okay? I want to hear you. Okay, so Anna.
Okay, Professor Elijah was talking about all the organization, consciential organization. Each of them, they have specialities. Conscientiology is divided in many specialties, which are different subjects that you might be interested in research. It might be in line of your evolutionary needs. So it's very important to take advantage of this and also the self-research, because with the self-research, that's where we can understand our existential program. So what is the existential program? It's a life planning we prepared between lives to meet our evolutionary needs. It's our life mission. This evolutionary existential program, it's a plan that we made to perform in this life. So usually I like to present a photo like this. I remember the first time I've heard about existential program, I thought it was just a route that you go and enter into that, you go all day. Okay, and then hey, I did my existential plan. But I realized that wasn't like this. You go, you enter, and then you have phases where you have this. You get a road, you get to another place, and then you go back to your line, and then you cross with another line, and then you get into that, and you develop a series of experiences that when you look back, it all makes sense after you pass through that. Because extension program, it's not about only to reach the end. I'm not gonna do my extension program just getting to the end. I'm doing as I am going. Because existential program, it is related, it's individual, it's non-transferable, and is customized for our specific evolutionary moment and needs. So it's based on our strong traits. Our strong traits means our manifestation, more mature manifestations, our weak traits, our immaturities, and also the traits that we need to develop, and also based on how we need to organize our reconciliation with groups and our encounters with groups. That's why we say it's untransferable and is individual. We might have a colleague beside of us that we think, oh, he's doing that, he or she is doing that, and I should be doing that. Not necessarily. Each of us, we have a responsibility on what we need to do here in this existence. So what we look in this life, and we said, I'm going to do this. This is where I was in this past life, but as a continuation of the work I'm doing, I'm going to enter into this. So we're going to see that when each of us with our extension program, we get together, we might have what we call the max extension program, where each of us doing our part, we're going to work as a group to get a more broader mission of life, you know, like a set of extension programs that get to an end. But ultimately, it is each of us that need to find out what is my specialty. Where do I need to put my finger on and work on? Maybe for a while, maybe I will do this now, maybe I have to change to that. And the self-research will help us to see where do I need to turn, where do I need to exit, where do I need to go back, and where I enter back to my road again. So it's quite interesting to think about this. And the extension program, when we do this extension program, we've done before we come back. When Professor Ali just showed the time that we were astrophysically and we prepared for our lives, then we organize our extension program. And to do that, we did a course. And Professor Elijah will present what is the intensive course.
Yes, the idea about the course is to optimize this program, this existential program. So we call this intensive course, which is a set of classes at the extra-physical dimension between two intraphysical lives. So this intermission I mentioned before. And the aim is to prepare the consciousness to accomplish their existential program in the next intraphysical existence. So that's why it's very individual. So in other words, we can say that this intermissive course aims to boost personal and group consensual evolution. As we said before, we are all interconnected. But this might be a concept you want to understand deeper. So how to know if you attended an intermissive course? There is a wonderful book available in English, written by Tatiana Mota, in which she go deeper into several aspects of the test of the intermissivist. This test is available in one of the treatises from Waldo Vieira, in 700 Conscientiology Experiments. But here in this book, she dedicates one chapter for each of the 10 aspects he brings about the intermissive course. So if you are interested, you can buy it from Amazon, print on demand, and it's very cheap. It's $6.53 the last time I checked. So I really recommend you, if you have indications and if you are curious about knowing about the intermissive course, go to this book and you will understand much better what we are talking about here. So we can go to the last point, Anna.
Yeah, so as you guys saw, we presented many areas or some consensual centric organizations, what they work and what they do, and also our self-research. Throughout this week, the International Week, you're going to have an opportunity to have contact with this work, whether it's through course or to activities, free activities, and so on. So it's good to take advantage for you to have this broader view of each of these consensus-centric organizations do, because from there you can see what is interesting for you to do. But to do for your life, for yourself, your self-research, and see what is important for you in this context. It's evolutionary context you are. But when we talk about this, now we needed to talk about interassistentiality. As we understand, there is no evolution without helping each other. So we are not alone in this planet. So we have the plants, we have our friends, the zoology, the animals, we have people. And it's very important in terms of evolution, regardless of which speciality we are, that we focus in interassistentiality. Why interassistentiality? Interassistentiality is the act of assisting, supporting, and helping each other. And not all helping each other, but helping ourselves. So without helping ourselves and assisting ourselves, it's very difficult for us to assist another person, because it comes from all sorts of reasons, but not necessarily to look, what can I give to this person that can help the person? And also we talk about interassistentiality because when we assist consciousness, we are assisting, but we are assisted as well. So both gain with this interassistency. We put this photo here because the photo shows how we are all interconnected. So the interassistency, it's performed intra-physically or extra-physically. It goes beyond frontiers. It goes beyond language, beyond the color of skin, our race, our gender. So it is related to what the consciousness needs to be assisted, supported, and helped. And it's multidimensional as well. So sometimes we can help people from distance with energy, and we still assist in those consciousness. This is the base of assisted for Conscientiology, Projectiology, the assist and the evolutionary process as well. We need to assist other consciousness. And according to Professor Waldo, at the book Homo Sapiens Urbanizados, I love this phrase. That's why I put in here. It's the page 236. If we want to assist others, focus on the identification of their needs and not on their ability to annoy us. Usually, we say that we want to assist, but when the person arrives and we look at them, but this is an annoying person. This is extremely annoying person. And then we look and say, I can't assist this person. It's so annoying. And we focus only on how annoying this person. And as an assistential principle, the most need consciousness, they are the most annoyed ones. Why? Because they need assistance. They need to be heard. They need to be viewed. And this is this principle of interassistance. So we needed to look, and I love the photo here, because we needed to look with a microscope, look at the consciousness and see which traits, what the needs of this consciousness that I can help. Sometimes we can't. And this is part of interassistency. It is recognize my limits of assistancy. And the limit of the other. So these are subjects that we talk about interassistance in many different of those specialities in different angles as well. But there is a big chapter that Professor Waldo approaches this in 700 Experiments. So you can go and study about assistancy, interassistancy, because he relates with Cosmo Ethics and so on. So it's good if you like this subject and like to see how things are very relative and what does it mean, the case, the principle of case by case. So it's good if you have a look in those books. So here, I would like to know if you guys have any questions. Would you like to say anything? But we're going to soon open the microphone and then you're not going to be able to escape. But yes, we finish here our presentation about the introductory of Conscientiology, Projectiology. We like this photo. This is Isaac photo that we create a bridge No, yeah, bridge means not only with a language, but with energy, welcoming anyone that wants to understand more these ideas and this science, wants to practice, take these principles, evolutionary principles, to their lives and see if they're logical, if there is a logical for them. And we invite you guys to enjoy this event that we are open now. And in here, you have the schedule of the event. So we have all the activities in here. You probably received by the monitors of your areas, and for our team. You still have time to enroll if you want to do any of the courses. We have the price for the courses here, but you probably received as well. If you are interested really to see, because it's like you're going to have this big overview of those different areas, and also to take opportunity to participate at Tertulia this weekend and the next weekend, because some will be translated into Portuguese and English and Spanish, and some will be presented by students from overseas as well. I think there are in Argentina. I think yes, there is Argentina, Cristina from Buenos Aires that will be presenting as well. And we finish it. Professor Ligia, do you want to complete anything, to say anything?
I think we will stop our presentation at this point, and I want to say that if you feel connected with the ideas about internationalization of conscientiology, please come to us, because we need volunteers. We have a lot to do. So everybody is welcome to help us. And I just want to, I think we should open now, because I want to hear these people who are so silent. And of course, the big question is, all these things we presented here, do they make sense to you? And what kind of questions affected you most, or made you think about your life, your purpose in this life, and why are you here? Why we are here together? So please open your microphones and cameras. I think it's a good chance to interact now.
And I guess also in any language, right? Feel free to communicate it in any language.
I forgot to mention, we have translators to Portuguese and to Spanish, but feel free to place your comments or to open your microphone and talk in any language you prefer.
There is no problem. We can understand any language you are speaking. If you speak in Spanish, you can talk in Spanish, in Portuguese, in English. We will understand you. So it's interesting. Start from what Ligia asked you guys. It does make sense to you? Do you think, or some people already know Conscientiology, studies Conscientiology, Projectiology. So how do you see those comments to the things we talked about? And the ones that are coming from the first time, how do you see all these ideas, or any comment?
And which concept, which word called your attention? Either here during this presentation or when you came to Conscientiology. I think it would be nice to have a comment from some of you.
Okay, we have a comment here from Eliane. Hello, Eliane.
Hello.
Thank you for your comment.
Seeing me?
Can you talk? Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. I can't see you. No, your camera is not open. Can you come?
Yes.
Open your camera,
I'm trying
please,
to open, but there is no place to open. But you can listen to me.
Okay. Excellent. So you can say your comment. It's very interesting.
Yes. I think that for me, the most amazing stuff in Conscientiology and Projectiology is the out-of-body experience. Because after you have one, and you know it's not a dream, it is something else. everything changes. You'll never be the same anymore. And if you can take that experience very positively and change a lot of things completely. And
that's great.
Yeah, I think it's something. Of course, there are. I knew people that had out of body experiences, even though they have very lucid experiences, they didn't change much. So what is your opinion? Why some people, even though they pass through this experience, they still keeping the same, doing the same, they don't look for renewals? What is your opinion about it? Because for me, whenever I had it, I changed it.
Yeah. So, Lydia, I will give and then I will leave you them. The first thing think about the experience. It is sometimes some people are fascinated with the phenomena. And the phenomena by itself, it doesn't mean much. It's just something that's to get attention, just distractive. Sometimes the phenomena of out-of-body experience, the person they can float on top of their body, or they can have an experience and see themselves. But that phenomena needed to be passed through, needed to signify, needed to be digested. What does it mean? The person needs to think about what that experience is bringing to them. It's more or less people travel around the world. There are people that go tourism in any places, but the trip doesn't change them. Some people, they travel, they'll pass 1 week away from where they are, they change a lot. Why? Because people start to interact with the places. They see the places and they look at themselves. So basically, Eliane, any experience we have, only the experience, it's meaningless unless that experience is brought to ourselves, where we question that experience. We think about this. We see ourselves in that. We question our values, our perspectives, our paradigm. We question our absolute truth about things. And that's what makes the difference of having an experience or not, or change after an experience or not.
Very good. I completely agree. And this analogy of someone going abroad and getting to know a different country and just visiting, didn't feel the culture and the differences and digest it. So it's a good analogy for the out-of-body experience, for having an out-of-body experience and doesn't changing anything, because some people might not be so mature, so prepared to face changes. I think,
or they might not
be this
question.
Way.
Yes, or might not be interested, or not even interested. It didn't resonate with a question in themselves or their absolute truth about things, or the mindset. The person keeps their way. It's we keep our way. That's the good way. I'm looking there, but nothing to do with me. So this phenomena that's it. It doesn't mean much.
May I add something?
Yes.
I think this experience is exactly about the principle of disbelief. As we have an experience, then you don't question because you have experienced it. But I think when you were talking about it, Eliane, I thought maybe this has to do with intention. If the person had no intention for this projection, maybe this was an assisted projection. For example, we said that we interact the whole time in many different dimensions. So there are people who want to help us to have these experiences in other dimensions, but the person who's not prepared or did not have the possibility to face things in a more realistic way. And another point I think it's important is that it's not that easy to change something. We have traits, we have a pattern of manifestation, very consolidated along several lives, several contexts. So it's not so easy to understand one experience and to make, okay, I will change the key and I will overcome this aspect of my manifestation. It's not that simple. So we need to respect this time. Everyone has his or her own time and own process and singular needs. That's why we talked about this Proexis as the program to fulfill or to allow or to potentialize our traits and to achieve our goals in this life. So it's a very, let's say, complex process, evolution. It's not that simple.
Mm-hmm. There is one more thing to bring, because we talked about multi-existentiality. If you guys had the opportunity to read the Historia of Parapsychism, unfortunately, it's not translated yet into English and Spanish, but Historia do Parapsychism. And it's very interesting how you travel, you read, and you see all the phases of parapsychism and the phase that we are proposing now, which is quite upgraded. But as Ligia was saying, some of us, we still have that affinity with that times where we deal with parapsychism in certain ways. And we are still linked with that, intraconscientially speaking. And so when there is the phenomena, that phenomena, it's viewed. We have a kind of a way, a cognitive distortion, it's called, that we see the way we want to see. And so maybe, might be those fixed ideas about those past experiences we had that we fix that. And that's it. So it's a phenomena. It's show. I tell everybody that I have an out-of-body experience, but that doesn't touch myself, my interconscientiality. Doesn't change one tossini I produce, doesn't change one intention I have, because it is related to how I used to use that phenomena before. So it has more, it can have relation with our past experience and how we do not want to let it go, no? The relation that we had with the phenomena. It's just another thing to think about. But
very
as
good.
Ligia said,
I do agree with you guys. Thanks for this debate, because it's very important to be aware, to remind us, to remind these small details about conscientiality that I remember I discussed it a lot in the beginning when I started in Conscientiology, like 20 years ago. And sometimes we forget our roots, our basis. And this is good to remember. This is very important to qualify the intention, to see what we are doing here, what's our aim in this life, so that we can take some advantage of our parapsychic experiences and the out-of-body experience.
That's the opportunity, nice. No? Okay, thank you for your participation, Eliane. I think Alexandra Zapata, is that? She said she would like to say something.
Good.
Where is she?
Yes, hello.
Yes, okay.
My name is Alexandra, and I would like to share, now that you guys said you would like some people to speak and share their experience and maybe share how they arrived here and what it is that they're looking for and what stood out from the introduction. I want to just begin by saying I'm more than thrilled to have stumbled upon this in the most mysterious and magical of ways. To be completely honest, I had no idea that Conscientiology existed, that Projectiology existed. And when I discovered that it did, it started to just put all the pieces together of so many things that I've been experiencing in my life from a very young age. So I would like to share that with you guys as briefly as possible. So since I was a young girl, I've been questioning existence and reality. And my mother has told me this. I would ask very interesting, very strange questions that she wouldn't have an answer to. And then that naturally progressed over time, my curiosity, my questioning into, really understanding myself as being, a student of life, wanting to constantly learn about what is going on around me and within me, who I am, who I truly am, to the depths of my being. And this self-exploration led me to, explore what consciousness really is. And, through like philosophical study and then psychology in university and everything, I was seeking answers and constantly questioning and seeking more and more. And I was also led through my own self-research with consciousness to work with some master plant teachers and fungal teachers who have shown me so much and taught me significantly about, existence and the fabric of the universe and who I am and our interconnectedness, of all of us with one another. And that existence really is so much greater than anything that we can imagine. It is so far beyond the third dimensional plane. And through my studies, with gnosis and everything, and certain family members of mine who have had out-of-body experiences and have learned how to astral project, it's always been something that I wanted to also learn how to do. I personally haven't yet learned a technique that worked for me, but I knew that one day I would get there. I just didn't know how, because I guess the strategies that work for some people don't work for everybody. And so one day it's just, as I started to look into things more and more, deeper and deeper, and just researching online, I stumbled upon this. And I was just like, oh my goodness, 2 weeks before this event. And I was like, wow, talk about something outside of myself leading me to the right places. And so I'm thrilled to be here. I'm so happy to meet all of you. And I'm very excited for this program and what awaits in the near future for all of us.
That's great. Welcome, Alessandra. Where are you?
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Toronto, Canada. Wow, that's so good. 2 weeks before the event, you come across to us. Excellent.
Yeah.
So this is something, now we see the connections, the things that it makes sense. When you look, we are all interconnected. And when we start to look for something, how we get that affinity, that energy, and we start to tune and enter into that information we need. And have you ever had out-of-body experience yourself, or you now are looking to have one?
I'm now looking to have one. I have had dreams that I knew were far beyond dreams, very vivid, messages. Definitely, you just know when you went somewhere else. You wake up and you remember it, very sharply, very clearly. Yeah. And so I journal all of my dreams because I do believe that they have significance, even if you don't know at the present moment, you can't piece it together. Later on, when you look back, there are definitely messages in there that make you go, wow. So I'm still actively trying to induce the out-of-body experience. I haven't had that yet.
So it's very interesting what you said, because it's a projective diary. When you write down your whole dreams, you start to look and say, well, this is not kind of a dream. This can be an out-of-body experience. And also the books that we mentioned, you can download them for free. One of them, the Projectiology, it has 37 projective techniques where you can apply to have an out-of-body experience. And there is one, projection of consciousness, where Professor Val talks a little bit about this projective technique to write down. He talks about the projectiology as well, how to write down your dreams or your experience every day in the morning. And after that, you start to differentiate what is a dream, what's a lucid dream. We didn't mention here the lucid dream, that vivid dream, which is a kind of more or less lucid projection. You are aware, but not so aware. And what it is actually the experience, the out-of-body experience. So it's good. It's excellent. You're going to have, maybe if you do the flying, it would be great as well for you to experiment that as well. Yes. Welcome, Alessandra. It's a pleasure having you here.
I just want to add something, Alexandra. we all project ourselves when we are sleeping. The point is we are not lucid. And sometimes we have lucidity at the extraphysical dimension, but when we return to this intraphysical body, we don't remember. Mm-hmm. So my suggestion is keep going, and it's you have many resources. We have techniques for that. And read the book. The Projectiology is a big, big book, but go slowly, step by step, and I'm sure you will see the results as you practice. It's like when we start going training our body. The first time, we are not able to get a good result. But as we train, we go along and persistence, you will see the results in a short time, I'm sure. The intention is the first power of the consciousness. So your intention, your will is a very powerful tool you have. So it will be nice to hear about your results later on in another moment. But yes, go to these courses, especially the one starting in some minutes, and focus on your experiences of projectability. Awesome. Good luck and welcome. We are very happy to have you here.
Very happy to be here.
Alessandra, there is you mentioned that you had a deep interest in know yourself and go deeper, knowledge. And have you studied psychology? I suppose you went to psychology. Okay, so a book that probably will actually help you to understand many of those things that we talk about conscious is the 700 Conscientiology Experiments. It's a white book. Probably it is in our list there, and I think it's with for downloaders. It's a big book. It's more than 5,000 bibliographic entries, but it's really worth to read because they are 300 experiments about yourself. So in many different subjects. And it helps you to have an overview of how you are in many of your manifestations and so on. And Projectiology has 37 projective techniques and has 1,907 bibliographic entries from 24 countries, different languages. So it's a very complete treatise about Projectiology as well. So it's good to have a look and yes.
Yes, very exciting
All right.
stuff. Yeah,
very excited. Excellent, yes. Excellent. We are very excited to receive everyone, yes. And it's my first time that I'm participating from the International Week. It's such a pleasure get to know everyone and see everyone. It's really nice. So thank you for your participation,
everyone, and see you soon in the next activities.
In next activity, we'll see you guys. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.